Hi guys, welcome to Seven Aligned, my podcast with me, your host, Jillian Holland. I'm so excited and honored to be here. Today's our first actual episode of this podcast. So this season's theme is spirituality, and today's episode is what is spirituality. If you're watching this, hey, on YouTube, I have my notebook right here because I took some notes. So of course, if I'm looking down or reading, that's what I'm looking down at. But if you're just listening to this, hello, fellow listeners. I'm so excited to have you here. I hope that you gain some, enlightenment through this episode. What is spirituality is the overarching question, and it's so hard to really answer that because spirituality is a lot of things. Spirituality is also anything you want it to be. When I think of what spirituality is, the first word that comes to mind is going to be mindfulness. Just doing everything with an intent. And then also the second thing that comes to mind is knowing that we have the power to dictate both our past, present, and future. That we kind of control everything around us and taking on that responsibility and also trusting ourselves with that responsibility. I wrote down this quote that I guess it's not really a quote if I'm the one who came up with it, but this popular idea of the spiritual journey has gained a lot of traction. I wrote the spiritual journey. A bunny! Oh my god, there's a bunny right by the camera. Wow, that was magical. See, this is what I mean. Once you tune in, the spiritual journey is a journey because you don't know where or who you'll be at the end. And yet, there's no end in sight. And what I kind of mean by that is it changes once you change your perspective on life, which is really what a spiritual journey is. Once you tune into like this frequency of spirituality, it changes everything. It changes your personality. It changes why you do things. It changes who you do things for, and it changes just your relationship with a lot of things. Nature, the earth, the food you put in your body, like stuff like that. And I have changed a lot as a person. I've been on my spiritual journey for, I would have to say, over 3 years. You also have to realize that not knowing who you'll be at the end is completely okay and a part of the process of learning. We never know who we're going to be, and we shouldn't remain the same forever. That's just not how life works. It's so hard to grasp what a spiritual journey is because when one starts it, they realize that it's so individualized. It's not like any other religion like Christianity or Judaism or like Islam, because they have these texts, they have these collective ideas, they are written down, there's a right and there's a wrong. And when it comes to you and your spirituality, there's no book, there's no Bible, there's no Torah, there's no writing from God telling you what to do. It's you having to figure out what to do on your own and what works for you and why it does. That's why it gives so much power to the individual. And that's really what I believe spirituality is. It's that I hold the power to affect everything around me because everything around me is pure energy, and energy can be manipulated if you know how to tap into it. So one of the important things that comes with educating yourself on who you want to be throughout your spiritual journey is that there's this sort of ego shedding that has to happen, in which you have to realize that you're no better than anyone else, you're no worse than anyone else, you don't matter any more than anyone else, and yet you do, because you have to put your own needs first. And I'm not saying be greedy, because that's the complete opposite of what I mean. A lot of spirituality takes inner reflection, and if you aren't comfortable enough with yourself to be able to really deep dive into your thoughts, into your thinking patterns, into who you are and the energy that you put out there, if you're not 100% comfortable with who you are, like, you have things to work towards. We all have things to work towards. I'm not saying that I'm perfect or that I do love myself 100%. And that's one of the things that spirituality has done for me. I've gained a great amount of self-love and self-respect. It's taught me to not care what other people think, that their opinions do not matter. All that matters is what I do with my life and what I leave after it. That's the only thing you die with. You die with your memories. You die by yourself, but you die with your memories, and you die with whatever you leave, you know, how people remember you. Whether that guy that you think is so hot thinks that you're hot and wants to fuck you, or the nerves that you have for expressing that you love the same gender. These aren't things to worry about because you don't, other people's opinions, once you realize your own power, cannot affect you because you're so empowered by your own thoughts and ideas that you know that you're completely set just with yourself. And that's the power that spirituality has given to me. The overarching concepts are that energy affects everything, that you can manipulate things, and that's not like, I don't want that to be looked at as a negative connotation, but like your thoughts become reality. Place the energy into the right places. Like if you place the energy into affirmating something to happen, then it's going to happen because in your mind it already has. Believing in yourself enough to know that just believing that you have something true is the truth means that you do. And I hope this makes sense because I know it's like kind of, when I talk about it, it seems like I'm like beating around the bush, but that's really what spirituality is. It's just like realizing that you have the power to do whatever you want. That perception is everything. If you believe that something's going to be bad, then it will be bad because that's the energy that you're aligning yourself with. You're aligning yourself with the energy that brings in negativity. But if you only align yourself with good things and with the positive, and you believe that you do attract everything you want and only abundance, and you truly do believe that, then you only will, because that's the only thing in your mind that you are affirmating, the only energy that you are attracting, the only frequency level that you are allowing yourself to be on. And being there is just amazing because it's, one, so refreshing, but then two, it's also like captivating and innovative. Like those are the two words that just came to my mind because it's like you're wowed by the amount of like, you're like, why didn't I realize this sooner? I wasted so much of my life caring what other people's opinions were, putting things to risk, making decisions by chance, not believing in myself. And it's like, dude, divine timing. Dude, your spirit guides are on your side. The universe, once you align with it and you just decide that you're going with the flow, everything just flows to you. Like you're no longer, fighting the universe for allowing like prosperity and good things to come to you. You're just allowing things to flow. You can start your spiritual journey by educating yourself. And that's super important. People need to realize that it is a journey, again, because there is no end in sight. This is something that while you choose how long, I guess, you want to be in it, how fast you pursue it, how hard you freaking hit it in the head, are you going 100% studying 4 hours a day from the beginning, or are you taking the slow route and letting it just come to you? You're learning, you're teaching yourself. This is new ideas and perspectives on life that you have to consciously seek out. They're going to come to you if you're aligned, but you have to align yourself to allow them to come to you. I was very lucky because while a lot of people say spirituality can also play into your ancestors, and I do believe that's true. You can call upon your ancestors. They can be your spirit guide. I don't have that. My family lineage is pretty abruptly cut off after my grandparents. So I don't have that knowledge of where my family comes from, if we are actually witches, do we have spiritual powers. But my mom, my whole fucking life told me that she was a witch. So I was a witch for Halloween every single year, and I would make her ride around on a broomstick. And my dad went to New Orleans one time and brought me back a voodoo doll, and I practiced voodoo on that. I mean, I knew that I had this power because I had this voodoo doll, and I cast a bad juju on this friend of mine in middle school. He broke his arm the next week, and I felt so guilty because that was not pure intent. You know what I mean? That was somewhat evil magic. And so I put good juju back on him, and now, ever since I've actually started pursuing my spiritual journey, I've realized that I like doing things with pure intent, with the intent of helping people and aiding people. I will never do a spell or something to like bring someone down, because that just doesn't sit right with me. I think that if I put that energy out there, it's just going to come right back to me. But again, this is why I say it's so individualized, because there are so many people out there that don't mind doing spells like that. And then there's so many people on their spiritual journey who aren't witches, who don't practice spells, which whatever you decide to do, again, is perfectly 100% okay, and also 100% valid, because nobody can tell you that you're doing something wrong when you're doing something for yourself. If you are interested in either growing or also starting your spirituality or your spiritual journey, looking into Eastern medicine practices, also other religions, and just new perspectives on life that aren't yours can be very beneficial. Once you look into Eastern religions and medical practices, you realize that there's a lot different ways to approaching life than the westernized perspective. And what I mean by that is, I found myself in 2 Eastern medical centered college classes. I took one that gave me just a glimpse into like chi and like yin and yang, and also I took a yoga class, and I took a holistic health practices class where I learned all about everything from aromatherapy to chi to herbs to your chakras to Zen to Tai Chi. When you go to China and you realize that these people are practicing Tai Chi all the time, what Tai Chi actually is being so in your body that you are controlling your energy, and you can literally feel it. You can feel yourself moving it, because that's what chi is. Chi is your energy, according to the Chinese. And so when you see like chi masters, they can literally flip people without touching them, because they'll just send energy to them and boom. And I'm not making this up. Like, I'm not a chi master. I've never really done Tai Chi. But these are practices that you can learn from, and learn that there are different perspectives on life. In China, when you go to the doctors, they're not just prescribing you pills. You can also go to the herbal, place, and you can get teas and soups and supplements and things that work. But since we in America are so wrapped around capitalism and consumer culture, these things don't necessarily make sense, because they're healing your inner body and your soul and your energy. And pills just, take the pain away. It's quick, it's easy, and you come back for more. Some people say that things even suppress our third eye and the spirituality nowadays, depending on who you're talking to, that the fluoride in the water is suppressing your third eye. It's literally scientifically proven that in communist countries, the fluoride in the water is higher. There's more fluoride in North Korea's water and the Soviet Union's water than there is in America's, and yet there's still fluoride in America's water. And I'm not saying that they don't want to make your teeth strong, but the war on hygiene was also a direct counterculture movement to the war on hippies. And what's in your toothpaste? These are all things that you just start thinking of when you change your perspective and mindset, when you stop trusting everything that's being fed to you. I think if you're listening to this and you're like, fluoride, there's no way it's suppressing my fucking third eye. Things don't do that. And I have to disagree. Another understanding that you gain is that everything has an effect on you, because everything has energy. And by that I mean, if you don't think the 5G waves or the microwaves or, the fucking sleeping next to your phone is not doing anything to your body, you have to be somewhat, blind to the truth. We don't have any data to prove that it's not, so how are you just going to go and say that that's not happening? Our phones are doing that, and the way that we cook our food is doing that. Then what I don't understand is how people don't think the moon and the stars are doing that, or the energy you're putting out there is doing that, or the people around you and the energy that they're giving you is doing that. It's draining to think about all of it. people also, discuss other aspects that go with spirituality. I would think like you would believe that astrology would go hand in hand with spirituality, and it most of the time does. What you're going to come to understand is there are some people that are just not spiritually enlightened at all, and you will not be able to change them, and that is okay because they'll just never view life through your lens. And honestly, I just feel bad for them because they're stuck in this closed mindset of what is like the world is black and white, and the world's not black and white. The world is very colorful, and you can literally see each wave of rainbow if you open yourself up to it. Which is why when people don't believe in astrology or like they don't believe in their zodiacs, I like truly don't think that they understand what astrology is, because what astrology is a capture of the sky at the split second you were born, where all the planets, all the stars aligned, and how that affects you. If the moon affects the tide of the ocean, affects women's periods, affects our emotions, then I don't understand how you don't think that the pull of those things had an effect on you the moment you entered Earth. And that's why when people don't know about astrology and automatically say that they don't believe in astrology, one, I just can't respect your opinion because you're not educated and you're not open to educating yourself. So it's like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Like, if you knew what it was and how it affected you and you cared enough to look into it, I think your opinions would change. And I know a lot of people have trouble with spirituality because they find themselves being religious, whether that's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, whatever. And I want to tell you that you can still be religious and be spiritual. You can believe that there's a God, because when you're calling upon energy, you can call upon God, the highest power. Personally, for me, I don't do that. I'm not Christian. I'm not Jewish. I don't necessarily believe there's one figure of God. I do believe that there's energy and it's passing through me and I can manipulate it. And I call upon my spirit guides, which for a while I had trouble with the idea of, because rebelling against the Christian church so much that I didn't want to tell myself that they were angels. But then you realize that spirit guides aren't angels, or they can be if you want them to be, but they can also be your ancestors, or they can also be just a message from the universe. Like, you're directly just channeling the energy around you. That's personally what I believe. But again, spirituality is super individualized. It just takes you consciously thinking about it to develop your own reasonings and understanding of things. Which is why people get defensive about, no, there's only one God. I'm like, but what is God? What is God? Like, there is no one text, and while these religions do have one text, it's like there's only one truth of what happened when Jesus Christ was born, or when God universe, which is actually just our solar system. There's only one truth, and that truth was what happened when it actually happened, and unfortunately none of us were there to witness it, so none of us will know. Clearly, we can see through literally the history of just human civilization that written history is not always correct, because who writes it? The people who win and the people who are rich. So you can't trust things, and which is why it's so important to form your own opinions. So again, once you start forming opinions on what you truly believe the world and the universe looks like and works like, then you start adding on more practices into your spirituality, which can be things from looking into your birth chart and learning about astrology and just consciously talking to people about it, to practicing spells and looking into witchcraft and maybe trying to start your own book of shadows, or just affirmations and consciously recognizing when it's a full moon and you want to set new affirmations, so you go and meditate underneath of it. There's ways to incorporate these things into your life which are not overbearing, which is exactly why I tell you, once you start your spiritual journey, it is your life. Because again, the things you do and the reasons why you do them are for your spirituality, it's refreshing to me. My spirituality has completely changed my life. Like I said, it's made me a better person, 100%. I used to be mean. I used to be jealous. I used to be self-conscious. I used to think everybody hated me. I used to care what other people thought about me, and I could care less. I put myself first now. I know how to really pay attention to my emotions and how things make me feel. I know how to remove myself from negative energies and negative situations and do things that are best for me. I know how to spread love. I know how to channel other people's feelings. I know how to care for others better because I'm not so concerned with myself. And these are things that I'm extremely grateful for. I would, again, not be the person who I was today if I did not have these things, which is why I want to share this journey with others, because I want other people to have the ability to go on and be able to grow as a person and become this new, enlightened, higher version of themselves if they want to. They should be able to have the information to do so if they want to, which is exactly why I'm doing this. And if there's just a few things I could have you take away from this podcast, it would be that spirituality is all about inner power. It's all about consciousness. Once you start doing things and thinking about why you're doing them constantly, then you know that you're becoming enlightened. You have to do things for a reason, for why, and you also have to be conscious of the reason why you're doing it. Which is why you start doing things because you want to, and that's power in itself. Spirituality is also tuning in. It's taking a break from the reality that you have created in your brain, that people care about you, that you are the center of the universe, that you are cooler than other people, and that other people want to be you, and just realizing that it's okay if none of those things aren't true because you're so secure in yourself. And it's also, spirituality is completely and 100% built and surviving in your own mind. You have to be comfortable in your own thoughts. You have to be aware of your own thoughts. And you have to realize that it is okay if nobody understands what you're thinking or saying, because you will find someone on a frequency similar to yours eventually, and they will understand you. Don't be afraid to be yourself, to express yourself however you want to express yourself, but really do tune in to how you want to do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of 7 Aligned. I hope your chakras are feeling a little bit more enlightened, a little bit more, energized, a little bit more open. We're trying to clear them out a little bit and brighten your perspectives. There have been so many animals and bugs and bees that have flown past me during this episode. That's another thing. I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but once you start tuning in with Earth and with nature, which comes with energy, because everything around you has energy, the trees, the grass, all of that, it starts to flow through you more. You're not afraid of bugs. You're not afraid of snakes. You're not afraid of bees, because you have that conscious understanding of, I'm not hurting anything. I'm not doing anything wrong, so they're not going to hurt me, which is so comforting to have, especially during summer. Again, I hope you are feeling enlightened and inspired, and I really hope you guys do take something away from this. Next episode will be daily practices that you can incorporate to enlighten yourself and also grow your spirituality. I'm going to go more into depth into ideas of things that you may want to do if you're trying to become more spiritual. Stay tuned for that. Again, episodes are coming out Thursdays for 7 Aligned. And also check out my YouTube channel. I have new videos out every Monday there. And my social medias are all linked down below. And my Patreon has exclusive content and podcast episodes there too. So if you want to go check that out, it's $5 a month to exclusive content, voting, ideas. There's some cool content over there, so please go ahead and check that out. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this first episode, and I look forward to seeing you, or I guess look forward for you listening next week. All right, bye everyone.